Hello YouTube friends, Ben Ochart here. Thank you so much for tuning in. There are a few words that you probably never expect to hear spoken together, and a couple of them are docile and African cichlids. You probably don't expect to hear those words spoken in the same sentence. But over the years I've discovered there are a few African cichlids that actually are docile, and before you give up on cichlids because you're tired of the chasing and the aggression, take a look at these fish. And then share with me in the comments below what you think. Have you owned these fish? What's been your experience with them? I'd like to hear about it, and let's go ahead and get going. No, Vinny, you are not in this video. You certainly do not want a Venusus on this list, I assure you. The first fish that's actually on the list is a Zrock. This is one of the first cichlids I ever acquired, and he's still kicking. He's been through a lot with me, and he's still hanging out. A bit of an anomaly with an orange blaze, a bit of a yellow orange, and some black in his dorsal. Probably a hybrid, but a Zrock. My Zrock has turned out to be very docile. Another one is Chromis and janice, and this is a very unusual fish, sometimes called a three-spot torpedo, and you can see him there in the background. And he'll get pretty large, but they grow slow, and eventually he'll get some blue throughout the body, which together with the green and yellow will be very, very pretty. But he is certainly a fish that I would recommend, and in my experience, I have found him to be very peaceful, very docile, sticks to himself, doesn't really want any trouble with anybody. Another one, of course, is, I have to include a few Placida Chromis on this list, and that would be your deep water Electra. The nice thing about this fish is he grows pretty quickly. He puts on some good size. You can mix him with a variety of fish, and he can not be necessarily intimidated. As you can see, he's much bigger than a peacock there next to him. And beautiful fish, great markings. Love the stripe through the eye and the body. And a Placida Chromis, keeps to himself and doesn't really start much trouble. I think he would be fine if you're putting together a tank that you wanted relatively peaceful fish. Of course, Placida Chromis Jallow Reef. A beautiful fish with the blues, greens, and yellows. You know it's one of my favorites. I would definitely have to include him and probably the gazelle, the Placida Chromis gazelle. Lethrinops are also a fish that you would need to consider if you're looking at more peaceful African cichlid tanks. And of course, there are other ones out there like shellies and fish from other lakes. But the ones I have experience with, I'd have to include Lethrinops on the list. I have two varieties of Lethrinops in this tank, and I've been very, very happy with just the general demeanor, the way they get along, and the kind of, just their temperament in general, and the colors that they show are very, very beautiful, very translucent, very, they just get a lot of pop. Really enjoy them, and I would highly recommend that you consider Lethrinops if you want to get into African cichlids and don't want to have the worry or having to monitor and be concerned about fish that are actually going after each other or being violent or aggressive with each other. You can see here the colors that these two are starting to get, and they're just starting to color up. So Lethrinops, and there are a lot of other varieties out there, and look into them. You will not be disappointed. They do better in a species-specific tank. That's usually how it's recommended. So those are my picks, and what do you think? Do you have experience with those fish? If you do, I want to hear about it below. And or are there some cichlids that you've had experience with that you have found to be pretty peaceful? You know, some folks give up on African cichlids because they don't like the chasing and the aggression. And so here are some that I think you can try and you'll be happy with, because you're not going to have that ongoing violence and fin damage and all the other stuff that can go on sometimes when you're keeping some of the more aggressive types. So go ahead and comment below, rate and share, and be sure to hit that sub button and bell. And I hope to see you on Saturday at the Cichlids and Coffee live stream, where we can talk more about this in a live setting, which is a lot of fun. All right, that's it for me. See you next time.